everybody. Welcome to Behind the Bolt with Nick Hardwick. I am Jordan Bean. Nick, there are tough losses, and then there is what happened to the Chargers on Monday night against the Steelers. You could have thrown out the other 59 minutes and 55 seconds and just played one play for all the marbles, because that's pretty much what happened when the Steelers and Chargers
That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
One goal line scrum. See if you can stop them from getting 4.5 inches.
And it was, they always talk about football as a game of inches. That was the most literal representation of a game of inches I think I've ever seen.
Yes, and if Marquise Pouncey was in the game, he would have stood over the ball and put the ball in the end zone before the snap happened. It would have been a touchdown pre-snap.
Right. But instead they end up running Le'Veon Bell, who just was unbelievable. The Wildcat, shades of Ronnie Brown running around out there.
What a gutsy call,
yeah,
by the way, to call a Wildcat with 5 seconds left on the clock, and he stood back there for at least 4.5 of them.
He had a timeout to think about it, too, and they decided, no, we're going to go for the win. We're not going to go for overtime. But leading up to that play, there was a whole lot that happened, obviously, and for the Chargers, it was a game of mental mistakes and errors on their part, it seemed like.
Exactly right. The Chargers were killing themselves, creating uphill battles for the entire game, especially on the offensive side of the ball. There were 12 offensive possessions. 6 of those were marred by penalties or sacks. 5 resulted in a punt. The other one, they overcame 2 separate penalties on the same drive for Gates' second touchdown. And then you start the second half off with a fumble on a 3rd and 1 by Melvin Gordon. And then you go penalty, sack, same play, punt. And then you go interception for a touchdown. That's not winning football.
It was tough sledding on 3rd down for the Chargers as well. They were only 4 of 14, 29%, and it seemed like they were 3rd and long almost every time. In fact, of those 14 3rd down, 7 of them were 3rd down and 10 or more.
Yeah, you're making it really hard on yourself to stay consistent playing winning football while setting yourself back every time in 3rd and long situations. There's a reason in football that you've got 4 downs to go 10 yards. It's because it's a good landmark. It's hard to get there, but you can make it. 3rd and 19, 2nd and 19, or 21, that's really tough.
And then the Chargers even had Antonio Gates back, who is a 3rd down efficiency machine. He came out hot, 2 quick passes to him and a touchdown. Great to have Gates back out there. He had his 100th touchdown in a losing effort. It seems like every time we talk about a Charger reaching a milestone, it's unfortunately in a Chargers loss.
Yeah, are we done with these milestones yet?
They seem to bring nothing but bad news.
Unless Gates gets several more, and then he might pass Tony Gonzalez.
Right, if he could get those in the next few games, and hopefully, since they're not record breakers, it won't result in a Chargers loss. But he and Rivers, 74 touchdown passes between the two of them, the most out of any tight end quarterback combination.
Bravo.
They're just on another level, it seems like, in terms of the way that they can read each other.
Yeah, and on the first touchdown, it was great. Phillips yelling over at Antonio, going, whatever call he's making to him is like, this ball is for sure going to Antonio Gates, and it was a touchdown. Man coverage, he roasted the guy.
Let's talk about the defense a little bit. The Chargers did a good job of bottling up some very exciting players. When you look at what the Antonio Brown had, I think he only had 45 yards, 4 receptions, something like that.
Yeah, Jason Verrett was a standout performer in this football game.
We're going to show him in a little bit. You're going to break down a play that he had just closing in on number 84. And really, when you look at Michael Vick's, the way that he played early on, until there were 8 minutes and 2 seconds left in that fourth quarter, he was 8 of 17, 87 yards, and 1 interception. I mean, they had him bottled up.
Well, he had nothing. If he was off of his primary receiver, he was either going to take a sack or throw it away, put it in the dirt. And late in the game, he kind of found his footing, and he decided, well, I'm going to chuck the ball deep. Marcus Wheaton, 72-yard touchdown. And when plays broke down, that's when Mike Vick is at his best.
Yeah, Steelers had 43% of their offensive output. They had 152 yards on the final 8 minutes, those last 2 drives. And that's really what stings.
And those are the critical situations that you have to win if you're going to win football games.
Nick, I want to go back to the Chargers offense before we move on here and just talk about the way that the running game went. They were only 19 of 52. That wasn't great in what they were trying to do. In fact, Melvin Gordon, more efficient as a receiver. He's targeted 9 times, 7 receptions for 52 yards. He had 42 rushing, and they seem to use him kind of in Woodhead fashion, especially late in the game.
And with both of them on the field, it's just great to see Melvin Gordon getting involved in different facets of the football game. I thought going into this game that this was not one to mess around with trying to be stubborn with the run game. Historically, San Diego's never been able to run the football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a very tough AFC North run-stopping defense. This is a game going into that I felt like Phillip Rivers was going to stand back there and pick this Pittsburgh Steelers secondary apart which at times he did. However, penalties and sacks really stymied this offense.
He threw the ball 48 times, and unfortunately one of those came back the other way. Third pick six against the Chargers in 5 games this season. That is just a backbreaker.
Yeah, you can't have that if you're going to be winning these games that you should win.
Well, it'll be a loss to Chargers fans remember for a long time, but hopefully the team can leave it behind on a short week heading to Green Bay this weekend. Coming up, Nick is going to dive into the Microsoft Surface Pro and take a look at one of the bright spots from Monday night's matchup as he takes a look at the play of Jason Verrett.